Hey guys and girls, it's Philip McKernan and coming to you from the beautiful Costa Rica, where I haven't been for a very long time, and it's the first time I visited here in, I guess maybe heading towards the 20-year mark, I'm not sure, but the last time I was here I was in a very different profession. I was doing something very, very different, and I was speaking at an event here early in the week called MMT, and I was asked to speak about transition and helping people transition. And what does that look like? And that got me reflecting upon my own journey and my own attachments and my own insecurities around transition, because transition requires us to let go of who we are to some extent and what we've done, to mourn, to experience a death, a shedding, whatever you want to call it. But before I do that, I'm gonna do a little bit of a show-off moment, because it is so beautiful here. It would be a shame not to show you where I am. And also I decided I couldn't leave here without doing a video, regardless of whether I actually post it or not. A lot of the videos I record don't see the light of day, not because they're not good, maybe they aren't, some of them aren't good, but sometimes they just don't feel right to release to the world for whatever reason. And thanks to Laura Foster, who's within our Brave community, for recommending this Airbnb. It's quite the place. Getting here was also quite the journey. But I want to just talk very quickly about transition, because transition comes with a lot of people think, excuse me, I'm not in transition. I have no plan to be in transition. And with respect, you're in transition all the time, regardless of whether you want to be or not. The universe has a different plan for you. And I said to a group of entrepreneurs earlier in the week I'm increasingly feeling more and more and more. And I love working with entrepreneurs because I think we're all entrepreneurial. Because entrepreneurs often set up businesses not because they want freedom, but actually because they just want to be in control. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't like that when I say that, but in actual fact, when you work with them and you understand them, control plays a much bigger role in their lives, which is to some extent unfortunate, because I think it keeps them from some of the greatest work they'll ever do. So rather than talking about transition earlier in this week as an isolated subject, I framed it through the lens of a question. What if your greatest work is yet to come? What if your greatest work is yet to come? And I typically get two responses to that question. A shiver down the spine of, oh God, have I not done enough? Which is not the desired outcome I want, but that is essentially how you respond to the question. Or the other one is a different type of a shiver that goes up the spine, into your heart, into your mind, like, oh wow, you mean there's more? You mean there's more opportunity for me to make a bigger impact in the world, or whatever? And this is the last thing I'll say about this question, nor is it designed to diminish anything you have done in the world to date. That's not what this is about. But if I look back over my life, and I look back specifically to the time that I was in San Jose, which is just on the edge of that hill there, I was visiting coffee plantations. I was on a coffee tour because I was in the coffee business at the time. And if I look back, I would have probably said in that town, over a beer, over a coffee, that I loved the industry. I loved what I did. And if I look back right now, I think that was probably a fair assessment based on who I was at the time. I don't think I loved the business. I don't think I loved coffee necessarily. I think I really liked the industry. I think I liked the people. I liked what coffee represented. You know, it was social, it was this, it was that. The same in the wine business. When I was in the wine business for 5 years, most people don't know that, but I was in the wine business for 5 years, the coffee business for 5 years. And as I consider what I do right now, and I tell you, say, oh, I love what I do. And I think it's pretty clear that I kind of do love what I do to some extent. But what if I'm overly identifying with what I do right now? Don't know if that's a bird. I don't know what that is. It could be a monkey, or it could be a dangerous leopard or something. I don't know. Obviously not. But what if I'm holding on to that and I'm not opening myself to what's possible in the world? And I'm going to sum this up very, very quickly. Here's what happens when I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who want to leave the world in a better place than they found it. They over-identify with what they're currently doing. They tell themselves a series of stories and narratives to keep themselves there. I love my team. I love the industry. I love what I do. I love my role. All these things. And we take this very potent, very poetic, very provocative word called love, and we slap it onto the business that we do. We slap it onto our bumper of our car. We slap it onto labels of wine. We slap it onto coffee. And it's I think it's a sacred word that should be held closer and used more sparingly and intentionally. And what I encourage people to do is to begin to let go of what it is they do right now. And people say, you mean sell my business, get out? And I said, no. Just step back from it a bit emotionally. Just see it at a distance and ask yourself better questions around what it is that you do. And to see if the relationship that you say you have with what you do professionally is actually what it is, or whether it's a little bit more neutral or it's a little bit more distant. And then begin to see what emerges. But then there's the next step, which is dangerous, is that we as we begin to let go of what it is we currently do, we over-attach ourselves to what's next. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of leaders in the world don't want the space in between. We don't want the lack of identity. We don't want the sense of not knowing and putting words around what it is that lies in that gap between this and that. And what I'm really interested in is you begin to let go of what it is you do professionally right now, as you begin to imagine what's next without getting overly attached. The most exciting thing in my experience is what lies beyond both. It's over here's where the real magic starts to light up. But because we can't put words to that, we don't put a value on it. Because we don't know what this is, we don't give it oxygen, because we can't describe what this is. It's a feeling, it's a sense of, wow, there's something that's out there for me in the world. I just can't quite grasp what it is. We have a tendency not to spend time allowing it to emerge, trying to just give it oxygen, space and energy. And I love working with people to help them really name what this is, to put a frame around it, to give it a not a label, but give it a voice, give it a purpose, and to begin to experiment in that space. So as I look back at my own life, I went from working in industry, coffee and wine, to coaching and speaking and writing and helping others in the world and supporting others, going to deep places of courage so they can show up in the world and have no regrets in their lives moving forward. And I've been doing that for quite some time, and I will never stop doing that. But honestly, the thing that's over here is the thing that scares me a bit, and that is holding space for others who in turn want to make an impact in the world. So working with coaches. And I started a group called Brave Coach, and I'm now stepping in more and more to Brave Speaker. And it's not teaching people how to orate and how to speak and how to stand on stage, but it's more importantly, how do you make sure when you stand on the stage of life, whether it's to one person or a million people, how do you make sure that you go to the edge of what's the most courageous version of you, and how do you just push that gauntlet just a little bit further to make sure that you're showing up as much as possible? And that's what's emerging for me. That's what's coming for me. So I don't want to rest on my laurels, and I still fall into the same trap as overly identifying and telling myself I love what I do, and to some extent I do. But I know what's next is also for me, not just for people I help. So maybe by just sharing some of that, it'll help you unlock something. It'll help you ask a better question. It'll help you identify a feeling or whatever it happens to be, and maybe you can pull on that thread. And I'm going to be bold today. Pulling on that thread on your own is not enough. And I believe in that so wholeheartedly that I even say to people, if you don't want to work with me, then find somebody to work with. But this is what we do. So if our work, if what we do, what I represent is appealing in some capacity, step in. Come to an event with us. The worst thing you can do is to come in and realize, no, shit, I'm absolutely on the right path and have been for some time and therefore will be for some time. But my experience shows me that when people step in and they allow us to do what we do to help you understand who you are, where you're going, what you're on this earth to do, it can be quite profound. So anyway, wherever you are in the world, take care, look after yourself, and I wish you the best. And I will sign out, more importantly, with me, Stop Talking, and Costa Rica speaking to you.